Thank you for joining me today in another new and fresh episode about resilience. As I construct or record each and every episode, I do hope that the titles intrigue you enough for you to click on them and download them and then consider the message behind that title. And maybe as you are able to review or peruse the website 820podcast.com and learn a little bit more about who this guy is, this voice behind the message, not to impress you, but it is to connect us under this construct, this concept of resilience. And I offer that to you only because there are so many things happening to us in each and every day, probably in many, many moments of that day, that take us away, our attention away from our intention. So I make the presumption that you do have an intention for good, for positive, for love, for yes, to all that you will meet on your journey today. That's a big ask, a big presumption. But I hope at least these 500 seconds are something to assist and support you and not distract you or to give you empty promises or made up solutions. I have none of those. My only guarantee is to change your perspective on this present moment. You saw on the title today, quote, "This is my friend." Now, I wrote that because I heard this the other day. And when I heard that in some conversation or maybe a written document or essay, that kind of statement means to me, this is love to me. And this is love to whoever said that when I say, this is my friend. And that statement was made by a child, from a child to say, this is my friend. And imagine this, or we can visualize this. A child said that to another child that they just met. And that's, to me, it sounds, again, another simplistic, elementary perspective. But I hope you can take some time today just to consider this possibility. That statement, this is my friend, that's from a human being to another stranger human being. Now, a child may just blurt out, hey, this is my friend, without any qualifications or model or process. They wouldn't have any need for the Ming 820 non-pillars of friend parameters. A child wouldn't need that. Nor would most adult human beings who may have only recently heard of the 9 pillars of friend, according to me, this guy behind the 820. Which, however, brings up a question for the child proclamation of, this is my friend, about another child they just met, say, on the playground yesterday or at recess today. Where would they get that from? From what reference as a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old human being entity? Where would they get that? Yeah, maybe that child had that upbringing of, or maybe an intimate education from their parent or parents, or not. Maybe that experience, as I have mentioned in other episodes, was imprinted and insisted on that child. And you and I also, by the way, from birth. So in some ways, we are and can be just like that child at 3 or 4 or 5 years old, when we were innocent and pure and impressionable at that time. But you and I, probably have lost most of that purity a long time ago. But that young child is still in that purity phase until the world gets to them or gets further into you and I. So let's assume, for the purpose of this message today, and with the hypothetical example of a child unblemished by the world yet, and he or she makes that proclamation about a new friend, a sudden friend, an out of nowhere friend, and we, adult people, have no reference or cannot recall that kind of sincere statement from that young human being. Again, but where would that come from? Or at least that is what I ask myself today to share with you. I say to you that statement really doesn't mean this is my friend. I haven't reached the 3 to 5 year old audience yet with the 820 pillars of friend construct. And I also have limited exposure to the adult audience of the world right now. But as the answer and the indication, to me, they are the same. As to where this kind of revelation would come from, emanate from, with consistency and constancy. Like the grace I've stated here before. A grace, or maybe the grace, that we all have within us, before us, after us, even after we become corrupted by the external world, and then from the internal fantasy and vanity worlds of influence that we adopt for ourselves as quote unquote adults. So that statement from an actual, maybe imagined 3 to 5 year old, from an adult after 2 to 5 decades of life and lessons, recovering, discovering, uncovering the way forward and within, through the love that they still know inherently in this life, and something that we all do's and dudettes can restore in our awareness. You probably don't need or require the 829 pillars of friend to qualify your handful of strong relationships. Maybe just the one step and metric that I cannot give to you or share with you as something new. But instead of stating out loud, quote, "This is my friend," unquote, and without a dissertation or an enumeration of the 9 pillars, maybe just saying about this encounter or meeting with this new person, well, new or old, strange or familiar. After meeting with this person, how about this? I can say, this is the love that I recognize. And that means friend to me. As a child or as an adult, remembering forward with, yes, love as a child. Stay present, stay current. Remember, wherever you are in this world, it is always 8